men would think that I was more successful than them or emasculating them, and they'd have to kind of compensate in the bedroom. I was getting choked and spit on.
What?
And, yeah,
What are you talking about?
As soon as like
Did that do?
no one has the thing I think you have to specifically ask for in the backseat of an Escalade. I feel like LeeAnn showed up at the Machine premiere.
You think so?
Is that where she made her debut?
No, she got here before that.
Okay, maybe that's the first
She
time
came
I
back from
witnessed.
Vietnam.
She came back from Vietnam
In March.
Back from Nam.
I came back from Nam.
She was like,
I did a tour duty.
She was like, oh fuck, what's the guy that came back with no legs in Forrest Gump? Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant LeeAnn.
I was Lieutenant Dan.
So what happened in Nam?
In Nam, I went with some girlfriends. I went with one girlfriend who brought two other girlfriends I didn't know very well. And I was roommating with one of the girls, women, and she was just chit-chatting. She's happily married. They've been married 30 years, something like that. And she was just chit-chatting, telling me how when she got pregnant, she and her husband never stopped dating, which is different than a date night.
Yep.
Dating is totally different. Dating is getting dressed up. Dating is getting excited
It's
to
really
see
having
you.
sex. That's
part of it.
well,
Not in a way that's perfunctory and like, hey, we have 10 minutes. It's like going through the...
It's exciting.
Yes.
Making
foreplay.
Well, it was about making the whole relationship exciting. Like when you were dating.
Yep.
Yeah.
And all she said was we just never stopped dating. And they took turns like once a month. They would plan a date for each other. They've been doing this their whole marriage, even when they had kids. And I just went, we don't do that. I think I'm going to try that.
Hot.
So I just tried it without telling him. And he was like, what's happening here?
I didn't trust it. I thought
Something's
she
What
cheated
was
on
the
me.
first one?
She fucked me in my car.
Yeah, I did.
And you thought she was...
I was like, something's going on. I was like, she did something. Because that's the only way I ever knew for someone to behave differently than when they did.
It is like when a guy has a new move, I'm like, where have you been?
Yeah, where have you been?
What porn did you watch? Like, what are you compensating for?
She did that, and then I was like, something's going on, and then I didn't trust it. Then she said something.
But wait,
I'm going to say it. You can edit it out. I'm going to say this.
Okay.
I'm going to edit it out.
Okay.
You can edit it out or don't edit it out.
Okay.
She said, I think we should, I don't know, let's just fool around. And then she said.
Oh, shit. I know what you're going to say.
Wait, in the front seat, in the back seat?
No, this is on another night. So that happened, and I was like, okay, something's going on. And then one night we're drinking, and she was like, I don't know, like, I want you to play with my and I went... And I was like, I'm out.
Okay.
I was like, something's going on.
All right, something else happened. Something happened in Vietnam besides that.
I was like, she did something. She's trying to fix something.
I've
Guilty.
seen Sound of Freedom. I know how this starts. I want you to play with put your
I don't know. I mean, just something exploratory. I've never had anybody before. I don't know. Well, it turns out it's not my thing, but I've never done anything like that.
I
So
never
was
knew.
Hey,
It's all
but
right.
what happened to your face when I said that to you?
My jaw dropped, and I was like,
But define play. Is it like a...
I didn't even
I
know.
don't know. I didn't
You don't
know
even need to
either.
define it.
I don't know either. We're pretty white bread, actually. People may not
Meat
think
and potatoes.
so.
White
We're
bread
pretty,
sounds like
okay, we're pretty
meat
meat
and
and potatoes. So I was like, I don't know. I'd had fantasies about it. So let's see what that's
all right,
like.
I'm out. It was
Let me
good
tell
talking,
you.
you guys. Have a good podcast.
But
I'm gonna go get a massage. I'm getting hard, and I gotta leave. I love you.
I love you.
Oh my.
Sorry I stole your closer.
Oh my God. Anyway, so
That makes me so happy because I remember when I saw you at the Machine premiere. I mean, obviously it's your husband's premiere, and you just were like, you two were so in love. You were so connected to each other. You were just like, it was just so cool to watch.
Oh, thank
to
you.
not take for granted something just because you've been together for a really long time. Like that.
Yeah.
I don't have a husband yet, but when I do, I'm going to do this.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's really fun. I mean, not the part, but that's not my thing. But hey, I tried.
But just to go, like, if we were 20, we might like have some weird ideas.
Totally.
Because the idea that you already know everything you're into by the time you've been married this long, you guys are, just to be like, maybe there's something new out there that we haven't tried. Like
that's exactly right. That's exactly right, because we are pretty meat and potato. We're not unhappy. There was nothing wrong.
And just to keep surprising each other or even yourself.
And myself, yes. To keep surprising myself. So we've had so much fun. However, I have been complaining to him lately that I've been doing all the dating He's just
Okay.
been doing all the like cashing of the checks of the dating.
Sure.
Where I'm like, could you write a couple checks for me, maybe?
Mhm.
So he's got to,
So is it kind of like you'll, because I think you said something about you guys got a hotel one night.
Yep, we did that.
Which
one
is
night.
like, that's so hot.
It was amazing.
Because you don't have to make the bed.
Right.
You don't have to worry about a coaster under the drink.
Nope.
Like there's something so great about not
Yep.
fooling around in your house where
Yep.
how the crazier we get, the more I'm gonna have to clean up.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And just the kind of the sneakiness of it, because we have a kid at home.
Yep.
So we're like sneaking. And it's because we didn't spend the night. We came home. So Isla just thought we went to dinner. So the sneakiness of that was almost as good as the that.
I mean, like, it's so interesting. I'm about to have a kid, as I'm not with the dad at the moment, but I'm really focused on like, I want to be a wife. And I don't always do the things in the order everybody does it in.
Who cares?
White trash till I die. And I'm just curious, like, priority wise, like your relationship still has to come first. Obviously the kid comes first, but like it must be a hard thing to juggle.
It's an interesting thing to juggle, I think, because there's a time period when the relationship really can't. Like when the baby's really little, I'm so sorry. I'm not going to be able to be like my most beautiful, my most glamorous, my most connected to you, my most fulfilling of what you need. I can't do it.
Can't do it.
There's a little bitty life.
That's right.
That I can't say you're going to have to wait for dad. You can't say that.
Of course. So there's in the beginning. Okay. So the child's safety always comes first.
Well, yeah.
And the child's survival always comes first.
Yeah.
But then you get to a point where you're going like, so many of us ended up being in bad relationships because our parents didn't model good relationships. So it gets to a point where you're like, the best thing I can do is make sure I have a great marriage. So that my kid is watching to see what a great marriage looks like and how they should be treated.
That's right. Even when your marriage has mistakes, even when you fight, if you fight respectfully, then I didn't see anybody fight. My mom just divorced.
Yep.
Like you piss her off, she's out. So I didn't, when Bert and I were first dating, I had to learn how to argue. Because I would go, if I'm arguing, this is definitely over today, like subconsciously.
Same.
So I'd have to go, I had to find somebody who's recognized it. He recognized it before I did and said, I think you don't know how to argue. So I have no siblings either.
My mom, this is a rough thing to say, but my mom was a gold digger. That's the only way I know how to put it. I don't even like that term because
you can sit with me because mine was too.
Okay, I know, but it's also what other currency did women have back then? What other choice did they have? That's why, she did the best she could with the tools she had. She was a beauty queen from Texas. She also worked really, really hard.
Same
in a
with
very
mine.
superficial business in fashion. She put me in child modeling. We have like the same.
We're the same.
It's weird.
Bizarre.
It's very bizarre.
Yeah.
And she had to date men for money. And I would have to go on the dates with them and act perfect. And if I screwed up, I would mess up her chances of getting this man to pay for us. I dated older men when I was younger. I know this is, going to be hotly debated whether it was appropriate or not. But like when I was 16, it was very much encouraged. If you didn't have money, date a guy who's older. He can pick you up from school. He can pay for groceries. He can feed you.
Right.
He bought my mom a watch. It's either way. Your 16-year-old, I'm sure in her head, was like dating another 16-year-old. She's gonna be dating some guy who's drunk driving and showing your nudes to his friends, some immature jerk, right?
Yeah.
But why not date this 30-year-old who's gonna take us to dinner? It's whatever litany of lies she had to tell herself to go to sleep at night. I look back, I wouldn't want that for my daughter, but it was what it was.
Yep.
And I just from a very early age saw her having to be with abusive men she wasn't in love with because she was poor.
Yeah.
And I just always went, let me just get money so that I don't have to be in any relationships for any other reason except love.
Right.
Like, I don't want to use men. I don't want to be used.
Right.
I don't want to be thinking about this. I don't think this is what love is.
It's not what you're worth either.
Yeah. And it's not fair to them. It's not fair to, it's just, I always felt bought. I always felt owned. I always felt like I was in things because I had to be and not because I wanted to be. And so I was like, let me just get money. Let me just get money so then I can date someone for the right reasons. Right. Let me just get successful.
How's that working for you?
Great.
I mean, like, how's the dating and how's that working?
Then once I started making my own money, I was like, because, you know, when I was in my early 20s, I was like, I had to date men that had jobs because I had nothing, you know?
Yeah.
And then I started making money and I was like, oh, this is so great. It opens up this whole new pool of like broke guys. I get to date like aspiring musicians and, you know, this is so awesome. But then, you know, I didn't quite know who I was yet, or, you know, there's that. I can make a million jokes about what it's like to when you have money and someone else doesn't, and, you know, emasculating them. And I found that men would think that I was more successful than them or emasculating them, and they'd have to kind of compensate in the bedroom. I was getting choked and spit on.
What?
And, yeah,
What are you talking about?
As soon as like,
Did they do?
no one has the thing. I think you have to specifically ask for in the back seat of an Escalade for that to happen,
or a Mercedes. I mean, let's elevate a little bit.